The Grand Conclave Hall floated high above Vexara Prime. It was a huge sphere made of clear crystal and shining metal. Inside, 32 alien species sat in their special seats. Lights moved across the walls like slow rivers. The air smelled clean and cold. No one spoke loudly. They only used soft sounds and light signals to talk. At the center stood the High Arbiter of the Caliph. He was tall and thin. His skin glowed soft blue when he was calm, bright green when he was angry. Right now his skin stayed a steady blue. He raised one long arm. A large hologram appeared in the middle of the room. It showed a small yellow star with 8 planets circling it. One blue-green world looked very small next to the others. "Humanity," the High Arbiter said in the common language. His voice came out smooth and clear through every speaker. "New species. Contact made only 30 cycles ago. They call their home Earth." Small sounds of interest moved around the room. The Vorath, who looked like living crystals, made a low ringing noise. Their bodies flashed in many colors to show they were listening. The Silex stayed quiet, because they did not need voices. Their thoughts joined together in one big mind. Everyone could feel their calm curiosity, like cool water on skin. The hologram changed. Now it showed pictures of human ships. They were boxy and gray. Some had long rocket flames behind them. Others looked like fat metal tubes with small wings. "See their ships," the High Arbiter continued. "No graviton engines, no phase shields. They still use rockets that burn chemicals. Their fastest travel is called Alcubierre warp, but it is slow and wastes much energy. They have no true faster-than-light gates like ours." A Vorath crystal spoke next. Its voice sounded like many small bells hitting each other. "Their weapons are simple too. Metal slugs fired fast, explosives, heat rays that melt things. Nothing clean." The Silex mind sent a wave of agreement. Everyone felt it in their heads. It felt like nodding without moving. The hologram zoomed in on Earth. It showed cities with lights at night. It showed roads, ships on water, planes in air. Then it showed soldiers. Humans in thick clothes carrying guns. They looked small and soft compared to the tall Caliph warriors or the hard crystal Vorath. "They fight with bodies," a Silex voice said inside every mind. "They bleed. They feel pain. They get tired. One good shot kills them." The High Arbiter moved his hand again. The hologram showed battle plans. Red lines came from the alien fleet toward Earth and its moon. Green lines showed human defenses breaking apart. "We ran the simulations many times," he said. "First wave hits their moon base and Mars domes. Second wave takes their space stations. Third wave drops rods from orbit. Cities burned. Their leaders ask for peace in less than 4 hours. Full control in 6 hours at most." A low hum of approval filled the room. One small creature from the back spoke up. It was a Trellin, short and covered in soft brown fur. They were known for being careful. "What if they do not ask for peace?" it asked in a high voice. "What if they keep fighting?" The High Arbiter turned slowly toward the Trellin. His blue glow became a little brighter. "They will not," he answered. "No young species ever does. They see our ships. They see our power. They understand quickly. Fear teaches fast." The Trellin lowered its head. It did not ask again. Another hologram appeared. This one showed messages sent between the Concordance and Earth. The aliens had said polite warnings. They said humans must follow the rules of the galaxy. They must not expand too fast. They must share their resources. They must accept guides from older races. Humans answered with short words. One message said, "We heard you. We do not agree." Another said, "Our system is ours. Stay out." The last message was only 4 words long. "Come and see." Many aliens made laughing sounds. The Kalit's skin turned bright green for a moment. Even the Vorath crystals sparkled with amusement. "They talk big," a Kalith commander said. Words are cheap, ships and weapons are expensive. The High Arbiter raised his hand once more. The room became quiet. "We vote now," he said. "Do we send the fleet to teach them their place?" Lights appeared above each seat. One by one they turned gold. Gold meant yes. 32 gold lights. No red, no gray. No one said no. "Then it is decided," the High Arbiter announced. "The fleet leaves in 3 cycles. 200 capital ships, 4,000 support drones, full battle group. They will arrive at the human star in 5 cycles." He looked around the room. "Goal is simple. Show strength. Take control of their space. Make them sign the Concordance Treaty. If they resist too much, remove their ability to fight. If they resist even more, remove their ability to live." No one argued. The hologram changed one last time. It showed the fleet preparing. Huge ships slid out of their docks. Engines glowed white and purple. Drones moved like silver insects around the big ships. A final message was prepared and sent to Earth. It was polite but firm. It gave the humans one last chance to surrender without a fight. The reply came back very fast. It used perfect High Concord language. Everyone could read it on their screens. "We acknowledge receipt. Come and see." Again, soft laughter filled the hall. The High Arbiter closed the hologram with a small wave. His skin returned to calm blue. "They will learn soon," he said quietly. "All young species learn the same lesson." He turned and walked toward the exit. The others followed slowly. Lights dimmed behind them. Outside the hall, the stars looked cold and far away. The fleet was already moving. Engines hummed. Space bent around them. They were coming. On the small blue world called Earth, people went to work. Children went to school. Cars moved on roads. Lights stayed on. No one panicked. No one ran. They knew the ships were coming. They had known for many months. In underground rooms, men and women looked at screens. They checked numbers. They spoke in low voices. They smiled sometimes. One woman sat alone in a dark control room. She wore a simple gray uniform. Her hair was tied back. She looked at the message on her screen. "Come and see," she read aloud. She smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had waited a long time. She pressed a button. A green light came on. "Tell everyone," she said into her microphone. "They are on the way. We start at 3:47 UTC. She leaned back in her chair. "Let them come," she whispered. Outside her window, the moon hung quiet in the black sky. It looked peaceful. But under the surface of that moon, in deep tunnels, machines waited. They were old machines. Some were built 50 years ago, some only 5 years ago. All of them were ready. They did not look beautiful. They did not shine. They were hard, cold, and full of purpose. The Concordance Armada came out of warp, just past Pluto. Space folded back like a curtain, and suddenly 200 huge ships hung there in the dark. Their hulls were smooth and perfect, colored in soft silver and deep violet. Lights ran along their sides in calm patterns. Thousands of small drones moved around them like bees near flowers. The flagship, Eternal Harmony, was the biggest. It looked like a long, elegant needle, with glowing rings near the front. Inside the bridge of Eternal Harmony, the Caliph commander stood tall. His name was Thalvor. His skin glowed steady blue. Around him, officers from different species worked at glowing panels. A Vorath crystal officer stood in a special frame so its body would not crack under the ship's gravity. Silex mines linked through thin wires to the controls. Everyone felt calm. This was routine. Sensors swept the system. They found no hidden ships, no big energy spikes, no strange fields. Just the usual human things. A few old space stations around Earth, some small patrol ships with weak engines, and mining bases on the Moon and Mars. Nothing that could hurt a real fleet. Thalvor made a small gesture. The main screen lit up with a message in bright letters. It was sent in every language the Concordance knew, loud and clear across all human channels. This is the Grand Concordance Fleet. You are in violation of Expansion Protocols 7 through 14. You will lower all defenses. You will allow boarding teams to land on Earth and all colonies. You will sign the Treaty of Submission within 1 standard hour. Failure means we will use necessary force. This is your only warning. The bridge waited. Sometimes new species begged right away. Sometimes they sent angry words. Sometimes they tried to run. This time, nothing came for almost 2 minutes. Then a single voice answered. It was calm. Female. She spoke in perfect high concord, no accent. Terms rejected. Local time is 0347 UTC. You have until 0400 to leave this system. After that, we will consider your ships and drones hostile. A short silence followed. Then soft laughter spread across the bridge. The Caliph officers made clicking sounds with their tongues. The Vorath crystals flashed quick amusement lights. Even the Silex mines sent a wave of mild surprise mixed with humor. 13 minutes, one Caliph officer said. They give us 13 minutes? Thalvor's skin turned bright green for a second, then back to blue. He found it funny too. They must think we are slow, he said, or perhaps they are testing our patience. He turned to the weapons officer. Prepare the demonstration. Target their moon shipyards first, then the Mars domes. Use grav lance banks. Low power. Enough to show we can end them. Not enough to destroy everything yet. The weapons officer nodded. Lights moved across his panel. Outside, the big ships turned slowly. Their front sections opened like flowers. Long, thin barrels extended. They glowed with faint purple light. The grav lances were ready. At 0350, the fleet moved closer. They passed Neptune without slowing. Sensors still showed nothing dangerous. At 0351, the first targets locked. Moon shipyards. 3 big human construction yards floated there. They built small ships and repair modules. Nothing important to the Concordance. Thalvor gave the order. Fire when ready. At 0352, the grav lances fired. Bright purple beams shot out from dozens of ships. They moved fast, almost too fast for eyes to follow. The beams should have hit the moon yards in seconds. They would tear metal apart, bend space around the structures, crush everything inside without a big explosion. Efficient. But the beams never reached. One moment, the purple light stretched across the black. The next moment, it simply disappeared. No flash, no sound, no scatter of energy, just gone. Like someone turned off a light. Every screen on the bridge showed the same thing. The beams vanished at exactly the same distance from the targets. A perfect circle around the moon. Thalvor stared. His skin flickered between blue and gray. Report, he said sharply. The sensor officer worked fast. No intercept, no shield signature, no reflection. Energy just stopped. The Vorath crystal made a worried ringing sound. Impossible, it said. Grav lances do not stop. They continue until they hit or are absorbed. Thalvor felt the first small knot in his stomach. Fire again. Double power. Same targets. At 0353, they fired again. More beams. Brighter. Stronger. Same result. Gone in the same circle. Now the bridge was quiet. No laughter. A human voice came over the open channel again. Same woman. Same calm tone. You seem to be missing something, she said. Allow us to return it. Before anyone could answer, the first scream came. It came from the gunnery deck below. A Caliph officer there shouted in pain and fear. Thalvor opened the internal link. What is happening? The answer came in broken words. Capacitors, they are feeding back. The lances are turning inward. On the screens, small explosions started inside the fleet. Not on the outside hulls, inside the weapon systems. The grav lance capacitors, Those beautiful, delicate spheres that held tiny black holes began to collapse, one after another. They did not explode outward. They folded in. They pulled pieces of their own ships with them. The eternal harmony shook. A low groan came from the hull. Thalvor grabbed the command rail. Shut down all lances. Emergency purge. Too late. More screams, more explosions, small at first, then bigger. The drones started failing too. They spun in place. Their engines died. Some fired at nothing. Others simply drifted. At 3:54, the human woman spoke again. Time check. 3:54. You still have 6 minutes. Thalvor felt cold. Real cold. Not from the ship air. From inside. He looked at the main screen. Earth was still there. Blue and quiet. No ships rising. No missiles. No big weapons firing. Just silence. And the fleet was already bleeding. The Vorath Crystal Officer tried to link minds with the damaged ships. It failed. Something blocked the connection. Something simple. Something old. Data flooded in. Garbage data. Old human packet formats. Ancient internet protocols. Songs. Pictures. Memes. All of it, sent back along the exact path the Gravlances had traveled. Someone had caught the energy, turned it around, and sent it home with interest. Thalvor understood then. They had not stopped the beams. They had sent them back. Not with fancy shields, with mirrors made of math. He opened his mouth to give a new order. Before the words came out, the next wave started. Small, cold objects, things the sensors had missed because they were too small, too quiet, woke up. They had waited years in the dark, patient, listening. Now they moved, and the minutes kept ticking. It did not happen with loud explosions or bright flashes. It happened quietly at first. Space around the Concordance ships began to bend in strange ways. Not like normal warp. Not like gravity pulling things. It looked like someone was folding a piece of paper with invisible hands. Lines appeared in the black. They twisted and turned. They made shapes that hurt the eyes. Every sensor on every ship screamed at once. Alarms rang in high tones. Red lights flashed across bridges. Officers grabbed their stations. Thalvor stood frozen on the command deck of Eternal Harmony. His skin turned pale gray, almost white. He had never seen anything like this. "What is that?" he asked. His voice came out low. The sensor officer tried to answer. His fingers moved fast over the panel. "Unknown distortion. Not gravitational. Not electromagnetic. Patterns match nothing in our records." The Vorath Crystal Officer rang loudly. Its body shook inside the frame. "It is folding space in impossible angles. Like origami made from nothing. Our physics cannot explain it." Inside the minds of the Silex, panic spread like fire in dry grass. Their shared thoughts broke apart. One moment they were one mind. The next, thousands of separate screams filled the link. Then the first real screams came from the gunnery decks. Caliph officers down there clutched their heads. Their Gravlance controls had turned against them. The capacitors, those perfect spheres that held tiny black holes, started to spin the wrong way. Energy flowed backward. The weapons ate their own ships from the inside. One ship, a medium cruiser called Silent Dawn, lost its entire front section in seconds. The Gravlance barrel folded inward like a crushed straw. Metal screamed as it bent. The bridge crew had no time to escape. The ship simply disappeared into a small point of dark nothing. Thalvor opened all channels. All ships, purge weapon systems. Emergency shutdown. Too late for many. At 03:56, the drones went mad. Thousands of them turned at once. Some fired at their own ships. Others spun in circles until their engines burned out. A few simply stopped moving and drifted like dead fish. The human voice came back over the speakers. Same woman. Same calm tone. Time check. 03:56. 4 minutes left. Thalvor felt anger rise. He slammed his hand on the command rail. Find the source. Track the signal. Fire everything we have left at Earth. But the weapons would not answer. The phase disruptors flickered and died. The plasma lances cooled without firing. Even the simple kinetic cannons jammed. Something had reached inside their systems. Something old and simple. Something that knew exactly where the weak points were. On one of the Vorath command ships, the Crystal Officer tried to send a distress pulse to the homeworlds. The pulse never left. Instead, it bounced back. When it returned, it carried something with it. A flood of data. Junk data. Old human files. Videos of cats. Songs from centuries ago. Ads for things no one remembered. All of it poured into the crystal mines at full speed. The Voraths shattered. Not their bodies. Their thoughts. The Crystal Officer cracked down the middle with a loud snap. Light poured out. Then it went dark. The Silex hive broke completely. Every linked mind felt the nursery rhyme at the same moment. A child's voice, soft, sweet, singing the same words over and over. Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies. It played at exactly the frequency that blocked psionic links. The Silex could not think together anymore. They became individuals again, scared, alone, screaming inside their own heads. Small human ships appeared now. Not the big ones the aliens expected. Tiny, ugly things. Old patrol craft. Cargo haulers with guns added later. They moved fast. Too fast. Their acceleration should have killed any living pilot. But the pilots did not die. They laughed through the pain. Blood came from their noses and ears. They kept flying. One small ship flew straight at a Concordance destroyer. It looked like suicide. The destroyer raised its point defense guns. They fired. The small ship twisted. It rolled. It slipped through the fire like water through fingers. Then it rammed. Not the hull, the sensor array. A perfect hit. The destroyer went blind. Its weapons turned off. It drifted helpless. More small ships did the same. They hit weak points, engines, comm arrays, life support vents. They did not destroy big ships. They crippled them, made them useless. Thalvor watched it all on the main screen. His fleet, 200 proud ships, was falling apart in minutes. He tried one last order. Form defensive sphere, protect the flagship, prepare for retreat. Ships moved slowly. Some could not move at all. At 0357, the folding patterns in space grew stronger. They wrapped around groups of ships, not touching them, just close enough to make everything shake. Inside those patterns, time felt wrong. Clocks ran backward for a second, then forward too fast. Crews felt sick. Some vomited. Some passed out. A Caliph engineer on a lower deck found the problem. He looked at the data logs. His eyes went wide. They used our own return signals, he whispered into the comm. When we fired the lances, the energy had to come back somewhere. They caught it, sent it back with feedback loops. Simple math, brutal math. Thalvor heard the report. He understood. The humans had not blocked the weapons. They had turned them into bombs, pointed at their owners. At 0358, the real attack began. Small, cold shapes appeared on sensors. Too small before, too quiet. Now they glowed, thousands of them. They had waited in the dark for years, hidden in the outer system. Some launched during first contact, some during trade talks. All silent, all patient. Now they woke. Each one carried a tiny bit of special matter. Not much, just enough. They turned, they pointed, then they fired. Not beams, not missiles, Kasaba charges. Old human design. Nuclear bombs that pumped gamma rays into tight beams. Dirty, simple, deadly. 17,000 beams lit up at once. They hit like needles made of light. Flagships first, then the big cruisers, then the escorts, then the drones. Explosions were small and sharp. No big fireballs, just holes punched through armor. Systems died, air leaked, crews died fast. The Eternal Harmony took 3 hits. One through the engine core, one through the bridge tower, one through the heart of the ship. Thalvor felt the deck shake. Lights went red. Air hissed out somewhere. He looked at the main screen. Earth was still blue, still quiet. No panic lights, no missiles rising. Just one small world watching. The woman's voice came one more time. Time check, 03:58. 2 minutes left. Thalvor opened his mouth. No words came, only silence, and the sound of his fleet breaking. Thalvor stood on what was left of the bridge of Eternal Harmony. Half the ceiling had collapsed. Sparks fell like slow rain. Red emergency lights pulsed. Air smelled of burnt plastic and hot metal. Bodies lay on the floor, some still moving, some not. The Vorath crystal officer was gone, its frame cracked open like an empty egg. The Silex link was dead silence in every head. Outside the viewports, the fleet burned in patterns. Not wildfire, clean holes. Gamma ray beams had punched straight through. One ship after another went dark. Lights died section by section. Escape pods shot out in small groups, but many never made it far. The small human craft chased them, not to kill, to herd, to make sure no one escaped to tell the story too soon. Thalvor looked at the main screen. It still worked somehow. The image showed Earth, blue oceans, white clouds, green land. Cities glowed softly. No panic, no blackouts, no missiles climbing into space. Just a quiet world that had waited. He understood now. Not everything, but enough. Humanity had not built secret superweapons in hidden shipyards. They had not stolen alien tech and made it better. They had done something simpler, something worse. They had listened. Every word the Concordance ever spoke to them, every lecture about superior design, every boast about elegant weapons, every warning about primitive races, all recorded, all studied, not to copy the beauty, to find the cracks. The Concordance loved perfect systems. One failure meant the whole thing stopped. Humans built everything assuming the first shot would kill the commander. So they made backups. Layers of backups. Old backups. Stupid backups. Backups that still worked when the fancy ones died. Their weapons were not pretty. They were cheap. They used parts anyone could make. They failed in ways that hurt the enemy more than the user. Thalvor remembered the first diplomatic meeting. A human ambassador had smiled and said, "We like things that keep working, even when they break." The aliens had laughed. They thought it was a joke. It was not a joke. At exactly 3:59, the last wave hit. The 17,000 Kasaba charges had done their job. Most of the fleet was gone. The few ships left tried to run. Engines flared. Warp drives tried to spin up. They failed. Something new appeared on sensors. Not ships, not beams, small pods. Thousands more. They had been drifting cold for years, some near Jupiter, some in the asteroid belt, some even closer, hidden in old satellite junk. Now they moved. Each pod opened. Thin wires spread out. Not weapons, antennas, simple radio dishes pointed at the alien ships. Then the jamming started. Not fancy psionic blocks, not quantum noise, old radio waves, loud, dirty, full of static, full of human music from centuries ago, full of emergency tones that matched the exact frequencies the Concordance used for internal comms. The remaining ships went blind and deaf at once. Command links broke, drone swarms froze, navigation computers looped error messages. One destroyer tried to fire its last kinetic rod. The rod never left the tube. The launch system had received a fake shutdown code. The code was simple. It used the same encryption the Concordance had shown the humans during friendly tech-sharing talks years ago. The humans had kept it. They had waited. Now they used it. Falvor felt the deck tilt. Gravity flickered. The ship was dying. He walked to the comm panel. His hand shook. He opened the last open channel, the one the humans still listened on. "This is Commander Falvor of Eternal Harmony," he said. His voice cracked. "We request parley. We offer terms." Silence for 5 seconds. Then the woman answered. Same calm voice. No anger, no joy, just fact. "Terms rejected. You had your minutes, you used them." Falvor closed his eyes. His skin was almost clear now. No glow left. "Why?" he asked. "Why so fast? Why so complete?" The answer came slow, like someone explaining to a child. "Because we knew you would come. We knew you would bring your best. We knew you would expect us to break in hours. So we made sure the fight lasted minutes. Not for honor, not for glory, for efficiency. You taught us efficiency. We learned." A pause. "We do not hate you. We just want you gone." The channel closed. Falvor looked around the ruined bridge. A young Caliph officer crawled toward him, blood on her face, one arm gone. "Commander, what do we do?" He had no answer. Outside, the last capital ship exploded quietly. A gamma beam had found its reactor. No big flash, just a quick blink. Then nothing. Only 3 ships remained, crippled, drifting, broadcasting surrender codes in every language, weak signals, broken voices. The small human ships circled them, not attacking now, just watching. At 0400 exactly, the clock on Earth ticked over. A single new message went out from Sol, text only, sent to every concordance frequency they knew. "We do not want your empire. We do not want your technology. We want to be left alone. Next time you come uninvited, we will not stop at minutes. We have worse things than minutes. No threats of planet killers, no promises of revenge, just a fact." The message ended. On Earth, in underground control rooms, people watched screens. Numbers went green. Alarms went quiet. Someone laughed. Someone else cried. Most just sat still. The woman in the gray uniform leaned back in her chair. She looked at the clock. 0400. Small. Tired. She pressed another button. A light turned from red to green. "All units," she said into her mic. "Stand down. Clean up only. No pursuit beyond the heliopause." Voices answered. Calm, professional. "Copy. Standing down. Cleanup teams moving." She turned off the mic. Outside her window the stars looked the same, cold, far. But something had changed. In the grand conclave hall, light years away, the surviving council members stared at blank holotanks. No one spoke for a long time. The Caliph High Arbiter sat with his head low. His skin stayed gray. A Vorath crystal made a weak ring. They planned it. All of it. The Silex minds were still broken. Scattered voices whispered fear. The same small furry one from before. They said, "Come and see." No one answered. They only whispered one word. Humanity. And for the first time in millions of cycles, the elder races felt small. Not because of size, not because of numbers. Because minutes had been enough. And because humans thought minutes were generous. In the Sol system, the wreckage drifted slowly. Twisted metal. Dark holes with holes punched clean through. Some pieces still glowed red from heat. Others froze instantly in the vacuum. Escape pods floated like lost seeds. A few broadcast weak distress calls. Most stayed quiet. The 3 surviving Concordance ships hummed motionless, their engines cold, their lights dim. They said surrender signals again and again. No one answered them yet. Small human craft moved among the ruins. They did not shoot anymore. They scanned. They tagged. They collected data. Some picked up life pods with careful arms. Others simply watched. No cheers came over their comms. No victory songs. Just calm voices giving short orders. Sector 7 clear. Life signs in Pod Cluster Alpha. 12 souls, stable. Flagship debris secured. No active reactors. On Earth, the underground control rooms slowly emptied. People stood up from their chairs. They stretched. They drank water. Some shook hands. Most walked out quietly. The lights stayed on. The screens showed green status lines. The moon looked the same through the windows. Peaceful, as if nothing had happened. In the small dark room, the woman in the gray uniform turned off her main console. She sat still for a long moment. Her hands rested on the desk. No tremble, no smile now, just quiet breathing. She looked at the clock one last time. 0407. 7 minutes past the deadline. 7 minutes of cleanup. She stood up. She walked to the door. Before she left, she spoke into the empty room. End of watch. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Light years away, in the grand conclave hall on Vexara Prime, the crystal sphere was almost empty. Most seats stood vacant. Only a few figures remained. The High Arbiter of the Caliph sat bent forward. His tall body looked smaller now. His skin stayed dull gray. No glow, no color. He stared at the blank holotank as if it might speak if he waited long enough. Beside him, one Vorath crystal still stood in its frame. Cracks ran through its body. Light leaked from the breaks in weak pulses. It made no sound. 2 Trellin huddled together in the back row. Their fur stood up. Their small eyes darted around. A single Silex mind had managed to reconnect. It felt thin and broken, like a voice speaking from far underwater. No one moved for a long time. Then the High Arbiter spoke. His voice came out rough, almost a whisper. They ended it in minutes. The words hung in the air. The cracked Vorath answered. Its bells rang soft and uneven. They did not use our weapons against us. They used our pride. The Silex mind sent a faint wave. It carried no anger, only cold understanding. They recorded everything. Every word, every design flaw we showed them. They waited. They prepared. For decades. One Trellin raised a shaky paw. Will they come for us now? The High Arbiter lifted his head slowly. No. The word fell like a stone. They said they want to be left alone. He paused. They meant it. The hall stayed quiet again. Outside the sphere, the stars looked the same. Endless. Cold. But something had shifted. The Concordance had always moved forward. Always expanded. Always taught the young ones their place. Now the path ahead felt narrow. Sharp. Dangerous. In another chamber far below, a small group of junior officers from different species gathered. They were not allowed in the main hall anymore, but they had seen the data feeds. They had heard the last transmissions. One young Caliph spoke first. Her skin flickered weak blue. I thought we were kind. I thought we gave them a chance. An older Vorath crystal next to her rang once. We gave them arrogance. A human word appeared on their private screen, sent from Sol. The same message repeated. We have worse things than minutes. No one laughed. They only looked at each other. Back in the main hall, the High Arbiter stood up. His legs shook a little. He walked to the center where the hologram used to be. He touched the empty space. We will send no more fleets, he said. Not to Sol. Not ever. He turned to the few who remained. We will change the protocols. New contact rules. No demonstrations. No lessons. Only questions, and we will listen to the answers. The cracked Vorath pulsed once, and if they say no? The High Arbiter looked up at the stars through the crystal ceiling. Then we accept it. He walked toward the exit. The others followed slowly. The hall grew dark. On Earth, morning came to many places. The sun rose over oceans. Birds flew. People woke up. Children went to school. Workers went to jobs. Traffic moved on roads. Shops opened. Life continued. In a park in one city, a man sat on a bench. He read news on his small screen. The headline said, "Concordance fleet withdrew. No casualties reported on Earth." He smiled a little. Then he closed the screen and looked at the sky. A child ran past him, laughing, chasing a ball. The man watched the child. He thought about minutes, how short they were, how long they could feel. Far out in the system, the last human cleanup ships returned to their stations. They docked quietly. Crews stepped out. They removed helmets. They breathed normal air. Some looked tired. Some looked relieved. In one docking bay, a young pilot sat on the floor next to his small craft. The craft looked old, patched in many places. He touched its side. "You did good," he said softly. The metal felt cold under his hand. He stood up. He walked away. The ship stayed there, silent, waiting. In the years that followed, the galaxy changed slowly. The Concordance stopped sending punitive fleets. They sent observers instead. Careful ones, polite ones. They asked permission before entering any system. Many young species noticed. They asked why. The elders only gave short answers. Because of Sol. Because of minutes. Because humanity had shown that speed was not about engines or weapons. It was about decision, about preparation, about doing what was needed, when it was needed. No less. And the galaxy remembered. Not with statues, not with songs, with silence. A new kind of silence. The kind that comes when someone speaks once, and everyone else decides to listen. On Earth, the woman in the gray uniform retired quietly. She moved to a small house near the sea. She planted flowers. She read old books. She watched the waves. Sometimes children asked her what she did before. She smiled. "I counted minutes," she said, and that was all. The stars stayed quiet, but now they watched back.